Well, I still say hooking the randomiser to the TARDIS was a good plan in theory. Of course, lots of things are a good plan in theory. I mean, in theory, the 2004 Thunderbirds movie was a good plan. It's just... Oh, what was that you've got there? Oh, well done, Marina. Yes, unless I'm very much mistaken, that looks like a time ring. Must have fallen out of the doctor's pocket when he and Romana left us here last week. You're shaking your head, no? What, you pinched it? Oh, well, who taught you to be so sneaky? Me? Oh, nonsense. Oh, anyway, that time ring is our ticket out of here. Of course, no idea where we'll end up. Might be Earth, might be Mars, but at least it's better than, freezing to death on Xanadu, eh? Yes, right, well, up you come, Marina. Bring the randomiser as well. No, I'm afraid we can't take your snowman along. Sorry, no, he'll have to stay here. Sorry about that. Right, hands on the time ring. And next stop, who knows? I just hope we can find someone to press the button. Well, here I am back in time, and it looks like I've landed at the London Comic Con. Now to find someone to press the button on the randomiser. I say, sir, you look like a likely candidate. Would you like to press my big red button today?
I beg your pardon. I think you'd have to explain yourself a little there.
Oh, well, I'm very sorry. My name's Chris Dell, this is Marina, and this is the Randomiser. And in here we have every single Jerry Anderson episode ever made. And we need someone to press the button today.
Well, I was just buying a Billy Piper cosplay costume.
Well, forget about that. You're pressing this button now. So, here's the machine. Ooh. Here's the button.
Okay.
Have at it.
Here goes.
So, would you be a famous person yourself, sir? I mean, I feel like I recognise you from somewhere.
Now, keep it amongst yourselves. I don't like to talk about too much, but there's a much-loved and...
Oh, no time for that now. I think there's a piece of paper about to come out of this machine. No time for that. No, it's very important. I'm sure it's very fascinating, but this piece of paper right here, far more important. So if you would like to take it out and tell me what it says I'm going to be watching today.
Let's have a look. Oh, it's Space Precinct, The Fire Within, Part 1.
Well, that sounds lovely. A perfect Christmas treat for our podcast listeners.
Yes, but of course,
I'll go over and just watch that.
But I was in space.
Yeah, no time for that. It was nice meeting you. Yes, thank you. Bye. So... happy Christmas, everybody, I guess. I mean, I say that, it's the 17th of October as I record this, but I think if I've done it right, if the maths has worked out, you'll be seeing this, well, there's no podcast episode that falls directly on Christmas this year. We have it sort of straddling, so what better way to straddle Christmas than with a Space Precinct two-parter?
Fred.
That's what I always say, and here we are in the Temple of the Pyrists, cult of fire worshippers.
It is impressive, but I'm not at all surprised.
In their new temple.
Sister Nevik has always been full of designs.
Ooh, and the clergy are already sort of making barbed comments at each other. There's Sister Nevik is Creepy Lady, played by Lisa Orgolini. We have Jack Headley as the leader of the congregation, the Ikar Vedra, and a Tarn guy named Brother Tendall Kalike. There's other people we will get to in due course, but for the purposes of this this scene, it's important to mention here's Took, and she is a part of this cult, apparently, cult of fire worshippers, which I think is a great idea to centre a story around. It's very believable that there would be a religion based around fire. Indeed, I'm sure somewhere there must be in the real world.
Symbol of our faith from its humble origin centuries ago to its new beginning on this day.
And something else I love about this story, and it's particularly obvious here, so we may as well talk about it here, is this music. I adore this temple-themed music. And many moons ago, I interviewed Crispin Morel for the podcast, and he told me this is him and his parents and other members of his family, I think, possibly, doing all this chanting. And I love it. It sounds so good. That's it. They've consecrated their new temple. It's a very small temple, but it's got a lot of people in it. And it has a control room where a pair of sinister-looking creons... Oh, they're activating exterior flames. That's how everybody knows this is the Temple of the Pyrists. Those flames are making the temple rumble a bit, and everyone's going a bit, ooh, but it's okay. It's just fire. Fire can't hurt anybody if you believe that it is the path to salvation. Another wonderful musical touch there as... Oh, look.
There is a traitor in our midst
Sister Nevik's eyes have turned white.
who pretends to share our sacred views,
She's been possessed.
aided by power, and
Brother Tendall opens his third eye to see if he can read her mind, but unfortunately,
he is false to the fire
she's pointed the finger of blame at him.
in his heart. But there shall be.
And here we go, one of the scenes... Whoa, there he goes up in flames. One of the scenes that was, I think, severely trimmed down for TV broadcasts. This shot of Tendall Kalike just going up in flames, collapsing into the fire pit. And all of the congregation think, whoa, divine intervention.
Here's me riding a Kirkuan. P.S. We ate it for dinner.
Oh, 2 weeks in New Hawaii and the guy's finally lost it.
I don't think Haldane ever had it.
Ah, a postcard from Haldane. As Brogan and Castle, we don't see this
Oh, I don't know.
partnership.
Spontaneous combustion, see it all the time.
I think we only saw it in A Time to Kill, but of course that timeline never happened when they joined forces. Took's on the scene, as are Orin and Romek.
Never seen anything like it. There was no physical contact, nothing out of the ordinary.
Tookie. A woman pointed a finger and a man burst into flames. I'd say that was out of the ordinary.
She's a priest, Lieutenant. Sister Nevik Brok, the Ika Vedra's right hand. The Ikar is the Pyrist spiritual leader.
You a Pyrist, Tookie?
I guess I'm looking for the answers without knowing all the questions.
Sounds like what we do for a living.
I like that explanation for how this organisation is set up. It's very real and yet very simple in how believable it is. I also like that that not only have we got Took here as one of our regulars is sort of
Brother Calamandro.
investigating this world, not as part of her duties, but as part of just her own life. And it kind of fits with the sort of... There's been a running subplot with Took throughout the series where basically if anything bad is going to happen to any of the regulars, it's always going to be Took. She's the first one to get nobbled by the cyborg. She's always the first one to catch any disease that might be going around. She was blackmailed into freeing that guy in the episode Friends. It's just anything bad that will happen to Took. So it's totally in keeping with the character that we find her here looking for some explanation of why her life is so rubbish.
Well,
What the officer is trying to say is somehow I became the medium for divine intervention.
you don't think you could be a little more specific?
You may find it difficult to believe
I'd also like to say up front, I really like the human guest cast in this.
was purified.
Jack Hedley is, of course, well known to, if you're at all familiar with British TV and film of like the last 60 years, you'll know his face.
Believe that Brother Tendall was a heretic.
Whereas Lisa Orgolini,
Came here as a seeker.
her career doesn't... It sort of spans the mid-80s to the late 90s. This was one of the last things she did as an actress, and I think it's a shame because she's really good in this.
Something I am not.
There's something really sinister. There's just... Oh.
Now that you've seen our temple's soul, perhaps you'd like to see the brain.
Anyway, Sister Fancha, I believe that was a Tarn lady who was talking there.
Brogan and Castle.
She was saying, "Oh, I don't think Tendall Kalike could be a bad man," and Sister Nevik is like, "No, it's divine intervention," and that's really what happened. Which just leaves Brogan and Romek now in the temple.
Filch.
I like that we're mixing up the pairings in this episode already. And also, speaking of it being Christmas, at least it will be when this episode first goes out, I remember this. This has a sort of nostalgia Christmasness to it for me because one Christmas, I think sort of 2000, 2001-ish, my parents bought me my own TV, which had a built-in VCR and a DVD player and like 3 of the double disc Space Precinct sets. So I remember watching this two-parter on Christmas morning with this wonderful new setup that I had.
No problem, Lieutenant.
I also waffled over a very nice bit there of Romek thinking that God was speaking to him, and he just sort of takes it in stride.
Yeah.
But it's not that. Brogan has found a little pinhole in the wall that looks out onto the central chamber of the temple.
Not really. Just normal security screens. Processes to control the temple's exterior illumination, that sort of thing.
No death traps or death rays or anything like that here. It's all fine. Yes, that's their tech specialist. I can't remember his name, but here's another sinister bad guy.
Can I help you, officer?
Brother Calamandro.
Brother Calamandro, and it's another dual role for David Quilter.
These tanks contain fuel for the flames outside the temple. Or did you think that was a miracle also?
Again, playing a shifty Creon, as he did in Divided We Stand.
At this point, given the condition of the remains, the coroner can only determine that Kalike burned to death.
Ah, well, now, that's a revelation, isn't it?
And he was pretty sure that the fire began in Kalike's heart.
Has he enlightened us?
I like Podley in this scene. He's sceptical, but also tolerant of listening to a lot of crazy ideas that get thrown around here.
Well, in an autopsy, but that's only speculation, of course.
There's at least one other possibility, Captain. The Daskal, the Pyrist Bible, tells the story of a disciple whose heart burst into flames because his thoughts were impure.
I'm not quite sure how to respond to that.
Yeah, I like that, Podley isn't going to dismiss Took's... I don't know if they're beliefs at this point. She's just presenting this as evidence.
You need a pinpoint to do the job.
But Brogan's also got actual pinpoint. He's a little pinpoint hole in the wall.
From top to bottom, nothing.
Look, people, we're treading a fine line here. These Pyrists are protected by the laws governing freedom of religious practice. If they cry foul, I don't need to tell you how difficult our job will become. Took, you're a member of this cult, correct?
Not really, sir. It was only my second visit, and it's not exactly a cult.
Whatever it is, I want you to keep your eyes open whenever you're there. Remember, you're a police officer, 26 hours a day.
Yes, sir.
Poor old Took.
Kalike's feet have been burned before. They were scarred over and calloused. The coroner doesn't know what to make of it.
Well, it's something. Let's invite the Brok woman in for a chat. Perhaps she can enlighten us.
And this one couldn't tell you what you needed to know?
Yeah, I just keep going back to that Christmas morning, actually. That was just such a nice way to watch this story again. Because I'd seen it when it was first shown on BBC. In fact, I recorded this one and the next part on video, so I had it to rewatch again a few times.
Andro.
Yes.
And it's strange as well that this is the show's first two-part story, except that because of the way they handled Death Watch, it was filmed after part one of a subsequent two-part story. That's so weird.
Periodic firewalks over molten lava to prove the strength of our belief.
Yes, this is a sort of grisly element to the story. This makeup.
Scarred and blackened feet.
Ugh, that is horrible makeup stuff. And even Took is shocked by that.
Thank you, Miss Brok.
Now get your feet off the desk.
My correct title?
Sister.
Yes, we are rattling through the space precincts now on the randomizer. We've
That I killed Brother Tendall.
we're more than halfway through, which is quite alarming. I didn't think we'd ever get to this point with any show, that we'd be more than halfway through. But I think Space Precinct is, percentage-wise, I think somebody did it on the Facebook group quite recently.
It's so impossible for you to believe that he might have done it to himself.
That we're at 50% on Space Precinct. Incredible.
Might just explode in flames.
Yeah, it is. And how did you know his heart was the source of the fire?
The Daskal says it was so.
And I'm evil.
You might try reading it sometime, Lieutenant. Then you too might find the fire.
But I do like the way this episode presents religion. It's not suspicious as such. It's not dismissive either. Brogan goes to bin the Daskal there, and Took just looks at him and saying, "No, hold on, this is important." And I think this is why there's a scene coming up that I feel is absolutely crucial to this episode of Brogan's kids are sort of looking through the Daskal and saying, "Oh, this is silly." And Brogan says, No, you might think it's silly, but if it means something to other people and it's not hurting anybody, then fair enough. Obviously, in this case, it is hurting people if they are bursting into flames and so forth, but
it is difficult to explain why you...
And it's also rare to find an episode of any Anderson show that touches on religion. I think, as I said recently, with Burning Bush, Space 1999 has sort of elements of faith without necessarily having religious-themed stories.
Brother Tendall will be granted a full fire ceremony.
And it's a very natural setting for, a sci-fi police tale, which is what this is.
Could divide the church.
If I do as my conscience dictates, yes, I could divide the church. But if I ignore my conscience, I will be a leader in name only. Better, I think, a feeble-minded Icar Vedra than a cowardly one.
And of course, Jack Headley had previously been in UFO.
Because, my Icar, you worry too little.
He's Paul Foster's defense attorney in Court Martial. And we're back in the Pyrist Temple for the remains of Brother Tendall to be thrown into the fire. And this is an episode I've mentioned previously in various things that I find watching extras in some of these shows quite rewarding. And this is an episode where that is, if you're that minded, it's actually an asset to a certain story development, which we'll get to, because it's very clever. And I'm going to sort of talk about it this week and next week, if I remember, and I should do, because it is quite important. Anywho, Brother Tendall has been cast into the fire. Oh, and wouldn't you know it, another spontaneous
guilty
possession of Sister Nevik.
Sinned.
Brother Tendall.
And her creepy eyes.
I sought not piety, but gold and glory. I am unworthy. May the fire forgive me.
Oh, yeah, she's got the sort of blue opaque contact lenses in, similar to good old Eric Sparkman.
She told you, old man. Maybe now you'll believe her.
So, Brother Calamandro clearly believes that Sister Nevik has been genuinely possessed. The Icar Vedra, not quite sure.
What you saw, Took, I just want to know how it was done.
Well, I have questioned it, Captain. And I'm pretty sure I found the answer in the Daskel.
That's a superb expression that Jerome Willis managed to get out of the Podley mask there.
And I know what I saw.
Ooh.
Look, I know you're skeptical, but sometimes you gotta believe in something bigger, something greater.
Tookie, I'm just a carver, not a theologian.
Theologian,
Not to crack, it's my nature. So, keep looking around, huh?
Yes, sir. May I go now?
Yeah.
I like as well that Took is a sort of petulant child at times in this episode. It's unusual to see the character with a spine almost.
She just wants us to keep an open mind.
What about you? Are you a believer?
Certainly not in pyrism.
In anything?
Well, if Haldane didn't get back from vacation pretty soon, I believe that I'm going to drown in all the paperwork that's piling up on her desk.
And there's some lovely little human touches in this episode. I say human, realising I'm looking at a Creon there. I think the fact that it's a two-part episode does give time for the story to breathe a bit more. And, you know, Space Precinct episodes are 45 minutes. Some of them are a bit padded, but often they just move at such a fast pace that you don't really get confronted with padding as such. But there's some really nice character stuff in here, especially in the idea of, you know, say Podley asking Brogan if he believes in anything.
Vedra is our appointed leader.
I like as well the sort of underlying inference that he believes that Took will be all right. She can handle all this.
I don't know. I admit I'm torn. I love and respect the Icar Vedra, but even I can't ignore the signs.
So, senior people among the church.
Mission is near.
We've all seen the signs. Only the Icar is blind.
Having a bit of a conversation.
Place him. You, brother?
Although ultimately, as we find out, this is really all for the benefit of one person.
There is one among us who could. One through whom the fire has spoken.
This scene of them all plotting against the Icar Vedra is just to throw off this one person in the room who says, actually, we shouldn't be doing this, Sister Fanshawe.
It should be to the fire.
Oh. Sister Fanshawe is not sure. Yes, here we go. This is the scene I mentioned about the show's
Stuff is creepy.
attempt to say, you know, faith is important no matter what it is, and you know, respect religion. Sorry, I got distracted there because Brogan's cooking some things on the barbecue and it looks so nice. Oh, I haven't had a barbecue in ages.
Anyway, the guys at school think it's dumb.
Oh, well, if the guys at school think it's dumb.
What?
I told you, it's dumb.
It's silly.
Let it be so.
And for once, it's a good way to use the kids as a sounding board for skeptics.
Maybe things I do believe that the Pyrists think are silly and dumb. That doesn't mean I want them laughing at it.
So you agree with them?
I think what your father is saying is that beliefs are a very personal thing, maybe even a sacred thing, whether you agree with them or not.
As long as they're not.
Yeah, right. Well done, Sally. My goodness. I'm going to give Sally a sticker there for not being a terrible person.
I get it. So it means if I believe I should go downtown to that reality arcade with a Nazi, you'd respect my beliefs?
Yeah, we'd respect it. But actually letting you do it, I believe not.
I also find it strange that Matt's best friend is named Anasi. because sometimes it sounds like, if you're not familiar with the fact that the character appeared in the show all the way back in episode 1, it almost sounds like he said, so if I want to go off with a Nazi...
Sister Fancher?
Lieutenant, I need to talk to you.
I'm listening.
No, not here. It's not safe.
Oh, they're monitoring her transmissions, Mr. Creon tech support guy.
Privately?
And Sister Fancher is sneaking out for a nighttime rendezvous with Mr. Brogan, and although this is quite a small set... Oh, I love that she, just before she sneaks out, she sort of turns back to the fire and respectfully bows to it. It's quite a small set, but it is very believable. It looks very nice. And I think it also kind of has to be small, considering what we later find out about the temple, which we'll get to in part 2. Anyway, Sister Fancher is away in her hopper. And wouldn't you know it, the bad guys have got a key for a remote control of her hopper. And speaking of hoppers, Brogan's has just landed out in the woods. Of course, it's night. Foggy night. We need a torch. This is some lovely model work coming up, though. And a nice integration of live action and model work, as we see Sister Fancher's point of view from the cockpit of her hopper, and she can see the very foggy forest and the torch beams from her vehicle. It's lovely stuff. Brogan signals to her with a torch.
There he is. Thank goodness.
Not thank God, because we don't believe in God. It's thank the fire? No, that would be a bit silly.
Purify her.
Oh no. That's it. She's going down in flames, and wouldn't you know it, she's hurtling right towards Brogan. And this, again, is another very good integration of live action and model work of Brogan running away from the wreck of Fancher's hopper as it hurtles towards him. It may just be the fact that this is, 90s video, and it's not like proper high def. It just looks... it's low res enough that I believe in the integration of these shots. And there we go. That is something where I say, if you keep an eye on extras in this episode, you'll be rewarded.
Mission.
Because there's a lady down there on the floor working on slow-mo. And it's just an establishing shot of the station house. The kind of thing you'd see every week. It's not... They don't sort of massively draw attention to it. It's just, this is a thing that is happening. An engineer is working on slow-mo. Keep that in mind for next week. We will return to that.
Fancher knew something.
And speaking of returning, Haldane's back.
Speculation, coincidences, call it what you will.
And nobody gives a damn, which is a nice touch.
Hey, how you doing, Haldane? Good to see you, buddy. Hey.
Welcome back,
He's got a present for his favourite teammate.
Oscar?
Glad to have you back, Haldane. But let's get back to the...
And it is.
Obviously, there is something going on at that temple. I've decided to put some people in there and find out what it is.
It's also interesting that the last time we had Space Precinct on the Randomiser, it was the Forever Beetle, in which Brogan's hopper got destroyed. And Captain Podley brought him a new one. There's another hopper being destroyed. Hey. Although I believe in production order, the destructions are the other way around. But I did mention there that Brogan's hopper is destroyed a lot. There was the proof.
Consummate.
Okay, knock it off, you two. As a matter of fact, Haldane, you've always been a part of my plan.
Cool. Sounds like fun.
The idea isn't to have fun. The idea is to gather information.
And speaking of wonderful character stuff in this two-parter...
I've arranged to borrow an officer from the 38th Precinct.
She's been mentioned several times.
You all know my daughter, Samina.
And there she is. And it's instantly a very likeable, very believable character.
Temporary immersion, memory, education.
This young Creon lady, and you can tell she's young because the eyes are bigger than... I think it's just an impression I got with young Creon women. Their eyes are bigger, and they seem to get smaller as they age.
Don't have to worry about Haldane. Be back in a flash. You kids get to know each other.
Look, I just want to be treated like any other police officer. Except Jane Castle, that is.
What is that supposed to be?
And it's just a nice, instantly, Haldane and Samina, for that is her name, Samina Podley, just hit it off. There's this nice friction between the two of them. Albeit not in the way Haldane might like.
What about you, huh? I don't really know anything about you except the fact that, well, your father was not real excited that you became a police officer in the first place.
Forget about my father.
And it's a throwaway line that goes back to, I think it's Flash, so that's episode 4.
I spent 2 years at
That's what, 16 episodes between that and this?
before applying to the academy.
And it's just, a throwaway line in that episode suddenly becomes an important plot point in this two-parter.
Anything else that you might want to know?
It's lovely to see the show acknowledging its own history in this way.
You think I'm just some kind of excess baggage?
But yes, the plan is to put people inside the temple, but since basically everybody went down to the temple to investigate, Haldane was on holiday.
Haldane, I don't even want you to think about my butt, much less worry about protecting it.
Yes.
Okay, we're all...
There's a bit of a Captain Ochre-ish twang in that voice.
Pyrism, including the Daskel.
Oh, okay, sorry, I got confused there. A mention of butts. Haldane seemed to be checking out Carson's butt there, but he wasn't. He was trying to look around it to see what he was putting in the... this brain... Well, it's almost a big rat, essentially.
A technophysicist from Dana.
He's going to program them with knowledge and experience that they don't have. Specifically, expert knowledge on the Daskel and Pyrism and everything they need to pass as convincing acolytes. Carson has fallen asleep while monitoring them, and he is reading...
Die to sleep. To sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rope.
Yeah, a bit of Shakespeare. As Podley watches his daughter.
As seekers...
And again, it's lovely not only to have this character here, but to have a bit of personal stakes for someone other than Brogan. It's not just his family that's in danger. Podley's daughter is now potentially under threat, but I'm sure nothing bad will happen to Samina.
You wish to contribute something?
Yes. I was just about to tell the sister about the inspiration for the Eternal Flame.
Pray, continue.
Well, there's this group called the Bangles. Yeah, Haldane is hitting on this lady who we've seen in the congregation earlier.
He was given only one match and a small pile of kindling.
And as a kid watching this for the first time, I never found this explanation of the Pyrist faith backstory to be off-putting at all. I think it was just because as a kid I just loved this show through and through. I would happily watch... Well, I'd happily sit through Flash and similar not great episodes.
Yes, of course, because the...
So when the show I nearly said on fire. Well, why not? Yeah, appropriately enough. Yeah, when the show was on fire like it is here, it's wonderful, no matter what they're talking about.
In the second book of Daskel, chapter 6, it is written that the pyramid is the shape which most closely resembles our holy flame.
So that's why the temple is the shape that it is, and no other reason. But it's also, yeah, as I said, lovely to have this...
I believe it was chapter 5.
Yeah, lovely to have all this world building, because a lot of Space Precinct, I mean, I don't want to sound down on it, but it can look a bit cheap at times. Not always, not often. The effects are, for the most part, always dazzling, but sometimes the sets are a bit drab.
Firewall.
So it's nice to have this...
Said something, Secret Tate.
Me?
The set that, to be fair, does look like a sort of drab temple, but we've got all this world building and history going on as well. Haldane's making a lot of chatty time with this blonde initiate lady, who, as I said, we saw in the congregation earlier. And Samina is now sneaking out of her room after hours to have a look around. She noticed Calamandro using
has our contact
security code earlier. She's going to sneak into his bedroom.
Why are you so interested in this guy?
Because I don't like him.
Whatever. We have other ways to obtain information.
Good. Use them.
So they have a contact who is able to deliver information on Haldane. Who could this contact be? Again, we'll get to that in part 2. But for now, it's just something that they drop little points. Calamandro, meanwhile, is on his way back to his bedroom. Samina has found jars of what looked like acid in his closet, but now he's letting himself in. Where will she hide? What can she do? I'm severely invested in the plight of a character that we only met 5 minutes ago. I think it's the fact, not only the fact that it's Podley's daughter, but it's just an instantly likeable performance. And yes, she hid in the closet behind the jars of acid type stuff.
Shits.
Behold.
You just see that animatronic crayon eye rolling around. It does look like almost like she's the actress has taken off her head and just put it down in the cupboard. Oh, firework time. Yes, they have a little pit of sort of molten rock at the foot of the main flame. Oh, that does look painful. There's also the sound effects as well. She walks right through the fire. It doesn't touch her, of course. I'm not sure how that works. Haldane's going to have a go, because why not? Ow. Ow.
What in Igor's name do you think you're doing?
I don't know.
Firewalking with her.
So what?
I saw the chance to prove my worthiness.
Haldane has caught Sister Nevik's eye. He's not won many fans with Brother Calamandro.
It's remarkable. They're almost healed.
But he's got Sister Nevik in to rub his feet.
A lot of pain.
Oh dear. Again, more convincing burn makeup.
Can't blame a guy for trying.
Yes, but I can blame you for pulling that idiot stunt.
Look, I saw you do it and I thought it was...
cool. It's actually surprising that, considering all the other things the BBC sort of insisted be cut or even reshot, they were quite happy to let Walking on Molten Coals get shown. I can't remember to what extent that would have been edited, but certainly the scene was there, I remember, from broadcast. I don't remember any sort of censorship, or a feeling that there was censorship around those shots. There might well have been. They definitely censored some of the shots of people going up in flames.
They worked. So, have you found what it is you came here seeking?
Definitely.
Meaning pyrism, of course.
Oh, yeah, that too, of course.
So
I just wish I would have got here sooner. From what I hear, I missed all the excitement. Come on, it's not every day that a guy explodes into flames and then confesses all his sins from the grave. I would give him a lot of credits to see that.
What I like about you, Brother Tate, is your irreverence.
Tate. That's Haldane's name, Tate.
I have to go or I'll be late for assembly. Come and see me tomorrow.
I like as well that everyone sort of just goes along with the idea that Sister Nevik is a vehicle for divine intervention of sorts, even though we know maybe she's not entirely on the level. Again, we'll get to that in part 2 because I don't want to spoil anything. But it's just sort of, everyone kind of goes about their business. Oh, this woman got possessed. No big deal. And it happened again. No big deal. She's got the power potentially to make any one of us burst into flames.
Not too busy.
Yes, I'm on my way.
And yet Haldane is...
Lessons tomorrow.
Well, he's introducing his lips to hers.
Nevik has many responsibilities here in the temple. I will not have you interfering with her.
Oh.
Now get out.
That's certainly one way to put it, yes.
Touchy.
Haldane was... well, he had crutches to hobble around on.
Isolated a number of different angles.
And you?
Oh, that's a good shot of Haldane in pain.
Usually. And no response yet. Everyone else checked out fine. You really think there's more to Tate Huxley than meets the eye?
No, I think there's less.
Lieutenant Brok.
That's a lovely line. It gives the impression that at that point they don't think Haldane is anything other than what he appears, and what he appears to Calamandro is just awful.
Inactive file. I have uploaded it onto your screen.
Thanks. Well.
Imagine living in such a high-tech, sophisticated future where you can upload something onto a screen.
Before there was a Calamandro, there was an Andrew Callum. And before there was a Pyrist, there was an Arsalist.
What a coincidence.
Years. 10 years is also about the amount of time he's been with the temple. Maybe pyrism helped him change.
Maybe it is all miracles and coincidence. I don't think so. I hope I'm wrong.
I'm just looking for the truth, Lieutenant, that's all.
Lovely body language from Mary Woodvine there. First sort of, oh, no, not again. I just want someone to believe in me. And then, again, the defensive side comes up, which is quite interesting. We don't see that in many episodes.
Someone's been running an ID check on Tate Huxley.
An unauthorized ID check.
Which could only be carried out by someone with confidential access.
But there's nothing to find, right?
Right. Tate Huxley's clean as a Ton incubator.
So there's no problem.
Not yet.
Remember that episode? Yes. So someone on the station is working against them. Oh, we know what this means. Castle has to go in, well, not undercover, but just to see if she can have a quiet word with somebody. She's wrapped up in a sort of headscarf to disguise her features as much as possible.
Really risky.
And Samina's there.
Someone's been taking a very strong interest in Tate Huxley.
Haldane's been compromised?
No. But we think you should be prepared to pull out at a moment's notice.
Oh, it's not as easy as you might think. In the first place, Haldane hasn't given me the time of day in over a week.
I also like the impression that this has been going on, this undercover has been going on for quite some time now.
Either he's decided to work alone, or he's been seduced. Sister Nevik can be very persuasive.
I like the look on Castle's face there of sort of, oh no, seduction, that's probably the thing, that's a Haldane thing. And here he is with good old Sister Nevik. Yes, he doesn't have to sit in the initiate seating anymore. He gets instant access to the back room.
He knows what he's doing.
Let's hope so.
Poor Samina. And I like the way as well that she isn't really treated as a guest character. To all intents and purposes, she is, you know, she gets as many like close-ups and interesting things to do as any of the other actors,
Daughter,
any of the other regulars might do.
ready to give up police work and become a beachcomber in New Hawaii.
And here's Podley's wife.
You're giving the old man a hard time.
Fama? I think.
I mean, New Hawaii is a very seductive place.
Art Sally.
Gee, I don't know, Captain. Haldane tries to go there every chance he gets.
Now I am worried.
Oh, they've got a fake postcard from Samina.
He's putting in a lot of overtime to pay for his trips to New Hawaii.
Because Fama doesn't know
It's about done. Oh,
that Samina is undercover.
5 minutes.
Neither does Sally.
Help.
So, while the ladies go inside to deal with the food, let's have some men talk.
You're not going to tell Fama, are you?
I assume you haven't told Sally about Haldane's assignment?
Haldane's my partner, not my daughter.
I know, but you do look after him quite a lot. I like Podley's sort of off-duty gear here.
I've been thinking about Castle's meeting with Samina. It's time to get them out of there.
His real name's Jack Haldane. He's with the 88th Precinct.
We've found an episode of something called Space Precinct. Here's a clip from the episode Divided We Stand. Yeah, it's Haldane giving speaking at the press conference about Vinny Artak. Which is a nice coincidence considering that David Quilter plays Calamandro and played Artak in this episode. Ooh.
He walks in here out of the blue, an instant expert on pyrism. He walks on fire. He quotes the Daskal better than the Icar Vedra.
Here's a picture of him with all his police officer chums.
Nice likeness. Wouldn't you say, Officer Haldane?
Uh-oh.
He was a cop.
That's why he's here. To confess his sins and to embrace pyrism.
Or to cover his butt.
Oh, there's butts again.
Maybe it is true I came here under false pretenses, but Sister Nevik has shown me the way.
And as a kid, I thought this was a wonderful twist. I suppose maybe looking at it now, you know Haldane's the good guy. He's not going to have turned against his friends. But I still think it's a nice way for the plot to go.
Been lit in my heart.
To have this Haldane go rogue subplot for a bit.
All I want to do is serve you and pyrism.
That leads ultimately to one of probably, I don't know, the perhaps the greatest cliffhanger of any Anderson two-parter. Granted, there weren't that many. So Haldane has gone totally nuts by the look of it. And not just for Sister Nevik, he's a true believer by the look of it.
Accompany you, Sister Nevik. But where are we going?
For a little ride, Officer Podley.
Oh no. Great animatronic wide-eyed expression on Samina's face there.
Truth in the fire. All else is lies and deceit.
You traitor!
Oh, that's a fairly nasty crunch to the face there. Yes, Brother Calamandro, Sister Nevik, Haldane, and Samina. They're heading out to the cliffs overlooking Demeter Bay, dragging Samina out of their little hopper limo thing, giving Haldane a torch. Yes, we are now coming up on the cliffhanger, and I think one of the things that makes it the best Joey Anderson cliffhanger of all time is the fact that it is a literal cliffhanger, as Samina is carried off to the edge of the cliff by Haldane. A lovely shot of the city by night there as they approach the edge of the cliff.
Haldane!
Calamandro and Nevik are sort of watching the edge of the cliff from afar, and there's a little one-eyed tramp guy in a cave nearby. This is played by Wayne Forrester. We'll talk more about that next week. And that's a nice touch as well. That's how you know this is a John Glenn thing. In all of his Bond films, there's some moment where Bond is like scaling a cliff or coming down the side of a building, and he gets startled by a pigeon or a bird or something. There's some moment involving a pigeon, and there was a pigeon hiding in the side of the cliff there.
Final purification.
I just love that as a nod to his Bond films. And here we go. As the tramp watches in horror, and Samina watches in horror, Haldane sets her on fire. Oh, which is such a horrible thing, and then off the cliff. Oh my goodness. She's turned into a model, and splash.
Now he's one of us.
Oh, and you just think, it's not that you have this cliffhanger of sort of, is he going to push her off the cliff? You see the whole thing. You see her go up in flames, and you just see this long fall into the water. There is no way that she could have survived that. You know, she couldn't have survived the fall, let alone the fact that she's on fire. And that's one of our main characters that did that. Superb stuff. And as we end on the shocked reaction of the one-eyed tramp, that is the end of part 1 of The Fire Within. And I hope you can tell by the way I've been speaking about this that I have always had a lot of time for this story. I think parts 1 and 2 generally are really probably my favourite Space Precinct story. Everything just seems to work on all fronts here, from character development and little character moments with Podley and Took and Samina and Haldane, to the world building of this new religion that's so believable and so credible, and just to some wonderful action stuff there, and very nice directorial touches by John Glenn. So it sets us up superbly for part 2. They say, you know, a good part 1 should make you want to come back instantly to watch part 2. We won't be back instantly. We'll be back next week for more good stuff.